So we're looking at the Capricorn Full Moon that's happening today. And so we've got the moon in Capricorn, and for Colorado, it's pretty much in the first house for probably most, if not all, of Colorado. So full moons in the first place are a really good time for like manifesting and bringing things into fruition and being really good for, the peak of something, like the climax of a situation. So usually with a full moon, this is when conflicts will break out. This is when people will get together or break up, things like that, because the energy is really intense. And so when you're looking at a full moon, it's really thinking about that is like, what is being brought to light? What is being highlighted at this time? What is at its peak? What's really good for manifesting like a full version of something, a full plan of something that's going on. So that's something to consider here is what is this full moon bringing us? And this full moon is on the 21st. So we're looking at 21st over here. For Colorado, it happens at about 7 p.m. on the 21st is when this full moon actually occurs. And with a full moon in Capricorn, this is a lot about structure and reality, the physical world, creating like systems, not necessarily routines, but like systems. Like this could be like a filing system. This could be a system of operations for a business, things like that, right? So Capricorn is very much about reality, about systems, about efficiency, about creating a step-by-step plan to get where you want. And so that's what this full moon's about. And this goes back to the new moon that was in Capricorn, likely in December, I believe. When was that? Oh, no. Okay, so it goes back to the new moon that we had on January 11th, right? So it connects back to this new moon that we had, which was widely conjunct Pluto, so that's really interesting. So it's really activating that right now. So what intentions you set around the new moon in Capricorn in January, so we're talking New Year's resolutions and things along those lines, that's coming to fruition at this full moon, right? And so we've got the moon in Capricorn, and that's all about practicality, outer security, reputation, reality, the physical world, building a career and reputation and status in the world, right? That's all Capricorn, right? And then we have the sun, of course, because it's a full moon, so they're in opposition. The sun's in Cancer. So our egos are kind of in a place of emotional security. We're searching for things that make us feel safe, things that make us feel good, things that make us feel at home, ego-wise, right? We're really in tune with our feelings. But emotionally, we're really looking for that outer security. We're like, I need to make sure that my outer world, my reputation, career, and physical security in the world is secure in order for my ego to feel safe. That's what this full moon in general is about whenever you're having a full moon in Capricorn, right? So, interesting enough, we still got Venus conjunct the sun over here. You also have Mercury conjunct the sun, very wide aspect though. It's 8 degrees out. Venus is only 4 degrees out, so it's still definitely in aspect with the sun, but it is going to start kind of separate soon, depending on orb, right? So it's separating 4 degrees right now. It's already met its conjunction. Same with Mercury, already met its conjunction. They're both separating from the sun. So when planets separate, that's also when events tend to happen, right? And when we have the sun conjunct Venus, of course, Venus is bringing all this love and money and beauty and gifts and all those beautiful, wonderful things to our ego right? And Mercury is bringing more thought, more planning, more socializing. So we're still getting that nice social energy. Very stimulating. It is in Cancer though, so everything's moved into Cancer. So where everything was really social and outgoing and very fast moving and very quick, sometimes fickle, very intellectual air sign energy when we were in Gemini, all of this is now moved into Cancer, which is all about emotional security, feeling safe, feeling at home. So we're starting to kind of slow down because we're getting into heavier elements. Air is very light element, so it's very quick, but when you're getting into all this earth and all this water, things start to kind of slow down, right? Especially because Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, which is the god of time. So things are really slowing with the moon in Capricorn, right? Which is good. It's a good thing. The things are kind of slowing down. This is, we can take our time to really build. Sun City wins the race is kind of how I see all the earth signs. And with all this water, we're really having to make sure that we feel safe in order to grow here, right? So we're just really focused on our feelings. This is also being focused on our ancestors, our past, our family dynamics, our ancestral karma, all of those things, right? With all the planets in Cancer. So that's kind of the big focus here. Let's see, where's Saturn? Saturn, of course, is still in Pisces, which it's getting to those later degrees. So Saturn's still in a place of just, Saturn's still just kind of in a place of kind of whimsy, imagination, the spiritual world, all those beautiful Piscean things, but it's really hard to ground that energy. But with the moon in Capricorn, we're a little bit more likely to ground some of these higher ideals. It is coming into a very wide conjunction with Neptune at this time because it's 10 degrees out. So that's like the widest freaking orb possible, basically. Especially because it's on the center of the moon. It's Saturn and Neptune, and they move very slow. So it's just starting to touch Neptune over here, which rules Pisces. And so we might be starting to get a little bit delusional here, or we might get really disciplined about our imagination and our dreams and all of those things that are associated with Neptune, right? So there is some good and bad with Saturn starting to come into conjunction with Neptune. It'll take quite some time for it to get fully conjunct Neptune. But that's definitely kind of affecting this full moon. So people might be really focused on reality, but also trying to bring this spiritual, ethereal, dreamy Pisces energy kind of down to earth, right? And we've still got Mars in Taurus, because it's moving, through Taurus, and it's only at 9 degrees at this point, so it's not very far into Taurus. We're still at the very beginning, and it is making this nice little sextile to Mercury, and it's very close. It's at the same degree, but not the same minute. And so there's a lot of thought around our actions with this full moon. We're really thinking about how our actions are affecting us, right? So with Mars going through Taurus, it's all about long-term, slow and steady growth, basically, with Taurus. Mars in Taurus is about that, taking it one day at a time, one step at a time, very slow, steady energy with Mars and Taurus, right? And the sextile to Neptune is we're really thinking about, how we're feeling and how our progress is making us feel, how we need to feel in order to progress, things like that, in a very supportive aspect here. So there's a lot of opportunity to kind of reflect on our feelings and how they're affecting our actions. So, and Venus is also making that nice sextile to Mars as well. So this is really good for working towards relationships, working towards making money. This can be also a really good time to just kind of, have a little bit more spicy time in your relationship at this time, because very supportive aspect between Venus and Mars. So our desires and our actions are much more aligned, or can be at this time, because sextiles are an opportunity, right? It is widely sextile the sun as well. So like our egos and our actions are also kind of in support of each other right now. So that's relatively positive. It's making like a tiny itty bitty semi-sextile to Jupiter. So they are still in steady growth, can definitely support growth in general, our long-term vision, our plans, things like that. Let's see. And Mars is coming off the square to Pluto. It's not nearly as close anymore. It's got 8 degrees, so it's really separating from the square to Pluto. So this tension that we had this last week that was really intense is kind of moving on. And, it's going to be a little bit easier moving forward, a little less the power struggles, a little less of people being really aggressive. This is going to ease up some of that tension that the fixed signs and like late cardinal signs have been dealing with, because this is it's moving on slowly but surely. Let's see. It's Capricorn. There is a nice little semi-sextile between the moon and Pluto too, which is a really nice little supportive aspect and opportunity between how we feel and how we're transforming and evolving. So this is a good opportunity to evolve in order to kind of have a better grasp on reality, through transforming ourselves through like technology, taking on new endeavors, being a little bit more inventive, being a little bit more innovative at this time, right? So there's a nice little opportunity for us to transform to like higher spiritual levels, and also to have a better physical reality with this little semi-sextile. It's at the same degree, so it's pretty close. Usually semi-sextiles are not really that strong. They're a minor aspect, but this degree is really close, so this is actually much more intense than it normally would be with how close it is. We've got Neptune over here squaring the moon, right? Because it's very close to moving into Aries. So with Neptune here squaring the full moon, like there's a lot of tension on Neptune, and this Neptune at 29 degrees is really unstable, because that's a critical degree. 0 and 29 are both critical degrees and are very unstable, and so things can be kind of unpredictable when planets are at that degree, either in transits or in your natal chart. So illusions, our imagination, our dreams, our spirituality, all of that is kind of a little unstable right now, and kind of creating this tension between our desire for, grounding in reality and having outer security, and also having emotional security. So it's creating this kind of tension with any kind of illusions or delusions that we have about ourselves or the world right now are kind of being highlighted. It is a good opportunity to kind of take advantage of this, though, to kind of use it for art, or, tapping into your spirituality in order to help you, ground and get a better grasp on reality. It is also like opposite Black Moon Lilith, which is squaring this full moon. So this is also really intense, because this is Black Moon Lilith is also at that 29th degree, so it's a little bit unstable, and this is like the dark feminine, the rebellious feminine, kind of, destroy the patriarchy vibes with Black Moon Lilith. So this is like really our desire for freedom, especially like in a feminine way that maybe disruptive or undesirable to other people, when, especially if they're in positions of power or have some sort of authority over us or advantage because of our disadvantage. So this is creating some rebelliousness here. There's this desire for change and freedom and to tap into that darker feminine energy. And so this is creating like a grand square. I mean, it's Black Moon Lilith is not like a physical point, if I remember correctly. It's like a mathematical point in the sky. But it's listed, I think, under the asteroids, basically. But it's not one of the major planets in astrology, is my point here, which means that Black Moon Lilith is not something I would usually consider creating a major aspect pattern like a grand square. However, the degrees are super close, right? Because we've got 1 degree and 29. So these are only 2 degrees apart, this whole square, right? Which is pretty tight. So I feel like it definitely is going to be kind of affecting this full moon. Some of us may feel it stronger than others, especially if you have planets at 29 degrees, 0 degrees, 1 degrees of any sign really, but especially the cardinal signs and the end of the mutable signs, right? So something to keep in mind. So this is a lot of tension, a lot of action is possible with this. There's a chance that we might have a lot going on and we might be really motivated, or we might have a lot of struggles, or we might be pulled in like 4 different directions with this grand square. Because I mean, this is creating a huge tension, right, between we're feeling the need for outer security, right, to have status, reputation, and security in the outer world, right, as well as our ego requiring emotional safety in order to thrive over here, right, with Venus here as well. So our really valuing that emotional stability, our emotional foundations, things like that. And there's a tension between that, but then there's also this tension between our spirituality, our illusions, delusions, imagination, dreams, all the things associated with Neptune and Pisces, as well as our desire for freedom and to rebel and, to be able to be ourselves in this Virgo way that's about practicality and routine in our day-to-day life. And it's like this, this daily rebellion against all the things that we deal with in our life, right? And so there's this huge internal tension because of this, right? So that's something to consider, that there's a lot going on with that grand square. Outside of that, let's see, still got the North Node in Chiron and Aries. So still a lot of growth and healing around independence. Still got Jupiter in Gemini, creating a lot of growth through socializing, communicating, connecting, and intellectual pursuits, right? Learning, things like that. Still got Uranus and Taurus, which is still kind of difficult. And of course, Mars is going to join that at some point, I think in July. So that's going to be uncomfortable. But let's see, anything we haven't really gone over? Nothing hitting the nose. I mean, the nodes are being they're being widely squared by Venus and definitely squared by Mercury. So there's definitely going to be some stuff in terms of like the news that's going to have to do with like famous people, like the royals and things like that. People who are like really well known tend to kind of come up when the nodes are being aspected. It's pretty positive though, even though it is a square from Venus and Mercury, and that there's a lot of tension here for things about money and emotional security, emotional foundations, ancestral karma that have to do with like money and the mind and communicating and socializing and all of this, right? There's a lot of tension there, but it's Venus and Mercury. And Mercury is kind of neutral in the first place, and then Venus is a very positive planet. It's considered one of the benefactors, basically. So it's probably not going to be something really bad per se. It's more likely some kind of news or talk around, famous people in regards to money and values and like family and maybe even things like generational wealth and stuff coming up. But definitely, it seems like there's probably going to be some talk about famous people in regards to, their finances and family and things like that at this time, and relationships, which is pretty common in general. So there might be some kind of, one of those magazines that talks about all the gossips about celebrities. That, something new might be revealed about someone's relationship or something, or someone inheriting money or something along those lines. Might not be inheritance. I mean, maybe could be, because we do have Pluto is in conjunct all of this, especially specifically the Sun and Venus. So there is some kind of imbalance, the transformation, death, trauma with the ego and Venus. So definitely it's kind of making our trauma, maybe triggering our ego, and as well as kind of triggering our values, especially around emotional safety, in a way that we might be kind of, isolating a little bit. I mean, especially with everything moving out of the air signs into Cancer, Mars being in Taurus, Moon being in Capricorn. Like, this is a lot of heavier energy, more introverted energy. So a lot of people might be just taking time to rest, or staying home, things like that. I mean, some people might go on vacation or have like a staycation of some sort, but like, this is definitely a little bit more introverted. So I feel like people are just gonna kind of be spending more time alone at this time. It's not going to be quite as social as it has been the last, month or so, last 2 weeks or so. So this is definitely more introverted, especially because Cancer is the home. So a lot of people are probably either going to visit family or spending more time in their homes, things like that, right? With all of this in Cancer. And there is a nice little semi-sextile between Venus and Jupiter. So again, some small opportunities for growth in terms of finances and money. In general, I'd say this is a relatively good full moon if you're trying to manifest more outer security, especially in relation to love and money and things like that, and or, your dreams, things that you've imagined, is that you want to bring into reality, right? Especially even if it's something that's not the norm or is rebellious in some way, kind of off the beaten path. This is a really good time to kind of manifest goals around that. So if you are into any spell work, this is a good time to kind of do some spell work on manifesting outer security related to, your dreams, especially if they're a little bit out of the box. So yeah, I mean, there definitely could be, people might be isolating a little bit right now because it is much more introverted energy. There is a lot of tension and potential for conflict, especially when it comes to people who are very realistic, clashing with people who are very much like idealist or optimists, is very likely at this time. So there definitely could be some conflict. However, to know how this is really going to affect you, you're going to want to look at your chart, right? Because that's really going to determine, where all these are, if it's aspecting a personal planet or a personal point in your chart, one of the angles, for instance, in a way that's really strong and really going to have an intense impact. I did put a link to, my stuff. So if you want to schedule a one-on-one with me, you can book me link. I also gave a link to my website where you can get a free birth chart so you can kind of see where this stuff is at. Because, we're looking at this full moon is at 1 degree Capricorn, which is also kind of a critical degree as well, I believe. I know 0 for sure. 1, I think, as well might be. But so wherever this is falling is kind of where this is going to affect you. And we're really looking at potential conflict where this grand square is showing up in your chart, right? So let's see. For Aries rising, this is going to be the 3rd house to the 9th house. So Aries rising, as well as especially if you've got 0 degrees Aries rising, this is also on your 1st to 7th house, most likely. So this is going to be really intense. So this can be issues with relationships, specifically, your needs versus someone else, if you have Aries rising, as well as potentially issues with travel, and long distance and short distance travel. So there might be a lot of conflict with a partner over traveling, over beliefs, over education, things of that nature, right? For Taurus, we're looking at, let's see. Yeah, this is going to fall most likely in the 2nd house and the 8th house. So this is all about money, right? So our income versus someone else's income, our values versus someone else's values. And this will move from the 3rd house. Oh no, wait, this is good. Yeah, so it's going to be the moon. I believe. No, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. In the 4th house? I think it moves back each one. Yeah, if you have Taurus rising, so this is the 1st house, right? You have this would be the 2nd to the 8th, right? This is issues of money. Into the 4th house. So yeah, this would move it. So this is this could be struggles with family and career. So your home life and your career life being kind of at odds here, as well as that causing problems with your finances. So you might be really struggling about your finances, your shared finances with someone that you live with, and your superiors, people in a position of authority in your life, parents, things like that. For Taurus rising. For Gemini rising, we're looking at that this will move to the 3rd house, I believe. And so that's going to be, again, that's issues with travel, long distance and short distance travel, educations, beliefs, things of that nature. This will move to the 5th house and the 11th house. So you might be having kind of issues with friends and lovers and children over travel, short and long distance travel, over beliefs and education, things of that nature. Feels like a good time to manifest those kind of things because of this grand square as well, though. For Cancer rising, we're looking at this will move into the 4th and 10th house. So again, issues between home and work, the house and your career. This will move into the 6th and 12th. So this will be issues with your career and reputation and superiors and your home life and your 6th house of health and day-to-day work, the day-to-day grind, but also your spirituality and your need for rest will be kind of at odds if you've got Cancer rising. For Leo rising, we're looking at, let's see, this will all move into the 5th and the 11th house. So again, lovers and children and friends and networking issues with that. And then this will have moved from the 10th the 11th house. So we're looking at, That's hard because this isn't like an Aries rising chart, so it's hard to tell. So we'd have Leo here, right? And we'd have first house, the 7th house, 8th house. Yeah, it looks like Neptune would be like the 8th house at this point because it's like this was Leo, Aquarius. Okay, so it would be, so this would be the 11th house. 7, 8, 9, so 9th house. We're looking at issues, again, with short distance travel, and then friends, and lovers, and children, again, for their rising, okay. And then for Virgo, everything will move over. So we're looking at, this would be, let's see, this is the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. Yeah, so for Virgo, we're looking at issues with career and family, as well as, if this is the 7th, and then this would be the 6th house. We're looking at work, and the 12th house is spirituality and rest, the daily grind, health issues, things like that. And for Libra, it's going to be very similar to Aries, so we're looking at issues with, likely issues with like the 1st to 7th again. Well, depending on the degree, but if it's like 0 degrees Libra, we're looking at like 12th house, 6th house issues, as well as like 1st and 7th. So yeah, you've got issues with like your needs and your partner's needs, and then that would be squaring onto Capricorn, which would be 3. We've got 7, 6, 5, 4. So yeah, so issues again with your needs, your partner's needs, people you live with, your family, and then also your career and your superiors and elders and things like that are going to be an issue. You've got Libra rising. For Scorpio, this is going to move into the 2nd house. So it's going to be issues with, income. It's going to be 12 to 6. 12 to 6 for Scorpio. So issues with rest and the day-to-day grind and work and spirituality, as well as issues with travel and short and long distance travel again, health issues, spirituality, all of that, as well as education and beliefs are going to be kind of an issue for Scorpio rising, for Sagittarius rising. We're looking at, let's see. So this is, again, the 4th house to the 10th, which is going to be all about issues with family and career, your reputation, your superiors, your family, your home, people you live with, as well as like the 12th to the 6th house issues. Oh no, this will be 2nd to 8th. So issues with money, right? Issues with values that you have with those people. And then for Capricorn rising, of course, this is going to be 1st to 7th. So this is going to be issues with between your needs and your partner needs, things like that. And then this will move to the 3rd and 9th. So again, issues with a partner over long distance travel, communication, education, things like that. For Aquarius rising, you've got this 12th to 6th house with the full moon. So issues with spirituality, your day-to-day grind, resting, things like that. And then you've got this basically on the 2nd house cusp, most likely. So income, money, shared values, your values, other people's values, shared money, shared finances, and so a lot of issues over that, and also rest and work. And then for Pisces, this is basically on this would be the 2nd to 8th house. So there's issues with travel, most likely, for Aquarius rising, but Pisces is that money, shared influences, shared income, things like that, shared money, inheritance, etc. And then this is 1st house of 11. Yeah, so issues with friends and lovers over money, shared values, things like that. So like in general, you're either having probably issues between you and your partner, right? And then, so that would be the 1st to 7th, and then this would be like the 4th to 10th. So you're either having issues like between your needs, your partner needs, your family, and the people you live with, and your boss and reputation and career. Like either you're having issues in those 4 sectors, or it's turned slightly, and so you'll have issues with like the 2nd and 8th house, so over income and shared finances, things like that, inheritance with lovers, children, friends, and networking. Or it'll be a 3rd to 9th house to 12th to 6th house square, most likely, which is issues with travel, short distance travel, long distance travel, issues with your day-to-day grind and your day-to-day life and routine, and your need for rest and spirituality. So like in general, everyone's being pulled in 4 different directions. In order to see where it is in your chart, you have to pull up your birth chart, look at this, and then put it into your birth chart to see where is this giant grand square actually happening, right? And so this is really intensely affecting people with Capricorn, Cancer, Aries, Libra placements around that early degree, like 0 to 5 degrees of those signs, as well as the last 5 degrees of the cardinal signs. So, those are the cardinal signs. The last 5 degrees of the mutable signs. So the last 5 degrees of Pisces, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Gemini. All right, so that's kind of the setup for this full moon. Again, good time to manifest around those same kinds of things, but there is likely to be a lot of tension and clashing over that, potentially, especially if you're having struggles in those areas already. It's likely to come to a head on the 21st. So I'm going to pull some cards and go from there. So I'm just going to start with like a general reading for the collective, what should we do with this full moon, etc. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull a card for each of the 12 signs and go from there. We got some jumpers. Okay, so in general, that we're having some new beginnings around healing and maybe needing to learn some new things. Potentially even learning about our psychic gifts that we may have been previously suppressing, right? Okay, So it looks like in general, so the collective that this reading is for, you're probably really deeply involved in something. So you might be the type of person who gives a lot, is really invested in other people and their lives. And when you get really invested in a project, you like put your whole self into it. And maybe you have a tendency to like overinvest yourself in things, to overcommit, overgive, and just be really deeply involved in stuff as it comes to you. And so this can sometimes be a problem, especially if you're, giving to the wrong people or you're pushing yourself too far. Okay, so what's working for you? Good things are coming. There's a lot of good positive things just around the corner that are on their way or have already come to you. So there's a lot of blessings, a lot of good things coming, new beginnings. So that's positive. What's not working for you, it seems like the money situation and the family situation isn't fully worked out right now. So, and this could be maybe where you're putting a lot of your energy and maybe being a little too deeply involved. You could be too emotionally involved in your job or in your family's problems, things like that, and that's making this time harder than it needs to be. But it's also probably partly why good things are coming to you, because you're always giving a lot of yourself. You care a lot about other people, and you care a lot about probably spirituality and transformation and growth as well. Yeah, so this is a time that you're really stepping into like a more masculine state, either that or a masculine has entered your life in some form. But in general, there is a masculine figure in a position of power. So that this could be you taking control of your life in a driven, kind of almost forceful masculine way, but in a positive sense of masculinity. Or someone in your life has entered who is very masculine and has very strong ability to deal with the physical world and be in a position of power. And this is part of the good things that are coming to you. This ability to, have that control over the physical realm, to be in a place where you can make things happen, or to have attracted someone who can make things happen. That's part of your blessings that you've received at this time. And should help you kind of overcome these issues with security in terms of family and money. Subconsciously, though, you're maybe a little distressed, just because it seems like other people are dealing with some really karmic issues. So there's people around you that are having a really hard time, and it's probably really unsettling you and really unpleasant for you because you really want to help them, but you can't for some reason, probably because it's their karma. You can't save someone from their karma. And so you're a little bit uneasy because people around you may be hurting or going through a hard time, and that makes it hard for you, especially family. And that might be the situation that you're really too deeply involved in. That's become a problem with family and finances, is maybe someone in your family is going through a really hard time because they're going through a really karmic period in their life, and there's nothing you can do for them. And that's kind of what's making this harder for you. And it's also the root of kind of what's motivating you right now. It's at the foundation, at the bottom. It's what's underneath everything, right? Okay, so it looks like in the past, you could have started a new business or a relationship with a man who's really good in business. That there may have been lots of planning, lots of thinking, getting really clear on things. And this could be exactly why these blessings are coming to you, is because of your clear thinking, business planning, planning around finances, or having someone in your life who is good at those things, who's very clear thinking. And that is what's going to help you kind of resolve this monetary issue as well, and some of the issue with family is this past influence of, being able to think and plan clearly. Okay, so in the near future, it looks like you're working really hard, but it doesn't seem to be paying off. So especially because this could be some kind of like business endeavor or education that you're taking on. It could be that it's just not paying off yet, so it's just delayed. It's not that you're working hard and nothing good's going to come of it. It just might take some time. So, and we'll pull more on that card because I want to get some more clarity on it. But yeah, you just in the near future, you're probably going to feel like you're just doing so much work and it just does not seem to be paying off. Okay, so there's a little bit of fear around being supported, especially by family or financially from someone else, as well as kind of maybe being your own worst critic, being really hard on yourself that like when you don't do as well as you'd hope, you really beat yourself up. So there's definitely some fear around perfectionism, around receiving help and support. So that's something to keep in mind. In terms of influence from friends and family and other people, it looks like the spirit world is kind of letting you do your own thing. This is a situation of free will. Your guides are kind of just letting you do what you want, probably to see what you choose. And it might be a situation where it's like, this needs to be up to you. You can't have them make this decision for you. So it seems like in general, your life isn't being heavily influenced by external forces. It's just time for you to take control of your life. The result of your thoughts and actions at this time, it looks like there's some kind of stalemate coming up, that you might be at odds with someone. You may feel really stuck and unable to move forward. You may be seeking something and it's just not really working out. And the end result is like you're very deeply involved in this situation. So yeah, you're really deeply involved in something, and that's probably why things are so hard, is you care a lot, right? Let's pull a card to see about this delay. Okay, so like in terms of like working really hard and feeling like it's not really working, like it's not paying off, like you're not getting the money or the funds or whatever, it could have something to do with travel. So it's probably just about kind of, once you get started, you just need to keep going, and then things will start rolling in. Yeah, and I'm getting the Wheel of Fortune. So, there's some karmic stuff, there's some stuff that you need to do and that you need to get done. And once things get moving, they're going to move really fast because you've got good karma coming in. So don't stress about it too much. Anything else about this end result? Yeah, again, feeling like you're not succeeding, and it's because you're not learning the lesson, which is all about kind of finding that middle ground between your head and your heart, finding that wisdom space between, what feels right, but what's also logical, especially around money and new beginnings around money and like skills that you still need to learn. Yeah, especially around your intuition. Like you need to really learn to balance and ground your intuition so it's actually helpful for you, so you can actually get out of this negative money situation, because a lot of it is because the situation's unbalanced. All right. Let's see. And we are running a little later than normal, but I am going to pull cards for each sign to see where we're at. Just so we can get some general advice for each sign. It's a little bit more specific about how each sign can deal with this full moon. There is some heavy energy, I'm not going to lie. But it's not all bad. It's really good for manifesting. You just gotta be willing to put the work in, because squares are action, right? And the grand squares can be really difficult, but they can also be very motivating. All right, for Aries, you're letting go of some stuff. You may have felt really stuck and like you couldn't move forward, feeling very stuck in a karmic issue. And you're breaking free of that. You're breaking free of attachments. You're breaking free of toxic situations. You realize that you have the power to free yourself, and you're doing that, right? Taurus, you're really anxious right now with this full moon. So I would take some time to ground, because it seems like you're really anxious, really stressed out. There may be some issue with gossip or like toxic feminine energy here a little bit. So take some time to ground, maybe spend some time to reflect and be alone, right? Gemini, it seems like you're really stuck. You're feeling at a stalemate. You're feeling unable to move forward with this full moon. With a lot of what we've been seeing, you're working hard and it doesn't seem like it's paying off. So take time to realize like it's just delayed. It doesn't mean the good things aren't going to happen. They're just taking time, right? Cancer, you're also feeling that way. Like you definitely your perfectionism is getting in the way right now. You're working really hard and it just does not seem to be paying off. Like you put in the work, you're not seeing results. So again, same advice as Gemini is just realize it's not a no, it's probably a not yet, right? So it's just the blessings are coming, they're just taking a long time, right? Leo, you're hustling, Leo. You're being really restless. You're having a hard time resting. I would take some time to rest if you can, for sure, though. But it definitely seems like you're putting this energy to use. But yeah, you're definitely feeling like you can't rest. Maybe that you're struggling to heal as well. Take rest as you can, but it's good that you're staying busy though too. Virgo, you're being a little unrealistic. So you might want to, be a little bit more realistic about your expectations. This makes sense with Black Moon Lilith and Virgo opposite Neptune in Pisces. Yeah, you're being a little unrealistic. You need to kind of simplify, clarify your goals in a way that is a little more realistic. That'll help you with this full moon. Libra, you've got, there's probably something you need to learn. There's some skill that you don't have that is kind of making this harder. So there's something that you need to learn or something that you need to unlearn at this time, right? Scorpio, you've got good things coming in. They're just delayed. They're taking their freaking time. They're slow. Realize it's going to be okay. It's just taking its time, right? The blessings are coming. They're just coming in slowly. Sagittarius, it looks like you have a decision to make, but you're not making the decision, which in itself is a decision. If you keep waiting too long, the decision will be made just because you didn't make a decision about it. So probably make that decision or it will be made for you. Capricorn. Okay, you're putting in the work and you're probably seeing some of it paying off now. Some of the money's coming in. Some of the stability in the family's coming in. Like you're putting in the work and things are starting to pay off, at least slowly. But you're starting to see the results, so that's really good. Aquarius. Oh yeah, you're feeling good, Aquarius. You're feeling strong, confident. You may have struggled, but you feel like you're succeeding at this point after having struggled for a while. So you're in a pretty good place. So keep up that confidence. Pisces, good karma is coming. Like you are going up on the karmic wheel. Things are working out. Things are getting better. Don't stress about it too much. Things are working out. And just in general, yeah, again, like it seems like everyone's going through kind of a hard time, or we're around people who are going through really hard times, and that's making this more difficult. Try your best to be, supportive and nurturing while other people go through these really difficult times. All right. So yeah, just in general, try to manifest with this full moon if you can. Be realistic, but also try to find a way to bring your dreams into reality. And other than that, it just seems like, you're working really hard, and it may not seem like it's paying off yet, but it will, Slow and steady wins the race, right? I'm getting all with that Mars and Taurus, with the Moon and Capricorn. This is all about long-term effort that leads to long-term change. Yeah. So that's the stream for today. I'll let you guys go. Bye.